no time to garden? Good, because the 12 perennials you're about to meet don't actually need you. Plant them once, walk away, and let them turn your yard into the kind of garden your neighbors quietly resent. You know the feeling. You walk past that flower bed by the driveway, and you don't even look at it anymore. You used to, back when you bought those 4-inch pots in May with the little plastic tags and the big promises. Now it's just the patch of mulch and regret, with one stubborn weed growing exactly where your favorite plant used to be. The hose is coiled wrong, the trowel is still in the garage from last August, and every spring you tell yourself this is the year, and every fall you quietly admit it wasn't. I get it, I've stood in that exact spot. I've killed lavender 3 times in a row in soil that was apparently too rich for it. I've drowned a hydrangea by loving it too much. I once spent a Saturday planting 40 bulbs that the squirrels dug up by Tuesday. So when I tell you the 12 plants on this list saved my garden, I mean it. They saved me from quitting. Here's the thing nobody tells you. You don't have a brown thumb. You have a busy life, and most of what's sold at the garden center was bred for people who can spend 2 hours a day fussing with it. That's not you. That's not me. What you need is a smaller list, a tougher list. Plants that were essentially designed to be ignored and still show off. That's the entire philosophy of this video. You don't have to be a perfect gardener to have a great garden. You just have to plant the right things. So we're walking through 12 perennials today. 12 plants that come back every single year, ask for almost nothing, and look like you actually know what you're doing. They're numbered. I want you to stick with me, because number 11 is the one I almost left out, and now it's the plant I recommend more than any other. It's worth waiting for. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button so the next quiet garden list lands in your feed without you having to hunt for it. We're starting with number 1, and we're starting with the plant I tell every overwhelmed gardener to buy first, Catmint. Sometimes called faux lavender, because it gives you that soft, hazy, purple-blue cloud that lavender promises and almost never delivers in regular garden soil. Catmint blooms from late spring straight through frost in a cascading mound about 2 to 3 feet wide, covered in tiny lavender blue flowers and gray-green foliage that bees absolutely adore. It is tough in a way that almost feels rude. Full sun, clay soil, sandy soil, drought. This plant does not care. Look for Walker's Low, which, despite the name, grows about 30 inches tall, or cat's pajamas if you want something more compact and tidy. Here's your one tip. After the first bloom flush starts to look tired in midsummer, shear it back by 1/3 with hedge trimmers. 10 seconds of work, it rebounds in 2 weeks and blooms again. Hardy from Zone 3 to Zone 8, which means it thrives from Northern Ontario down to North Texas without complaint. Number 2 is Russian Sage, the plant that looks like it's auditioning for a watercolor painting. Tall, airy, silver-stemmed spires covered in lavender purple flowers that sway in the wind from July to October. 3 to 4 feet tall, sometimes wider. It is essentially indestructible in hot, dry, miserable conditions. The hotter and drier your summer, the happier it is. Try denim lace for a compact, sturdier version that won't flop, or little spire if you've got a smaller space. The one warning here, do not improve the soil for it. Don't add compost. Don't water it. The more you ignore Russian sage, the better it looks. Hardy Zone 4 to 9, and especially happy in the dry interior west and the windy plains. Number 3 is the workhorse nobody respects enough, Daylilies. Yes, I know your grandmother grew them. That's because your grandmother also worked full-time and raised 4 kids, and didn't have time to baby her flower bed either. Daylilies bloom in a clump of strappy green foliage, with trumpet-shaped flowers in every color except true blue. 2 to 3 feet tall, blooming from early summer onward. Stella Duro is the reliable yellow rebloomer everyone knows. Happy Returns is similar but softer. And if you want something fancy, Going Bananas gives you butter yellow blooms from June through Vrost. Tip from a guy who learned the hard way. Plant them in full sun if you actually want flowers. Shade gives you leaves and disappointment. Zone 3 to 9, which is basically the entire continent. Number 4 is Sedum, sometimes called stonecrop, because it will literally grow on a rock if you let it. The tall variety, the one you're picturing, has fleshy, succulent leaves in a tidy mound that builds all summer like it's preparing for something. Then in late summer, it bursts open into broccoli-shaped flower heads that shift from pale pink to deep rose to copper as fall arrives. Autumn Joy is the classic, about 2 feet tall. Matrona has darker, purple-tinged foliage, and neon glows almost hot pink in October light. Here's your tip. If yours flops over in the middle, you're watering it too much. Stop. It wants to be slightly hungry and slightly thirsty. Zone 3 to 9, and it shrugs off late frosts that ruin everything else. Number 5 is one I almost skipped because I thought everyone already knew it. Coneflower. Echinacea. The daisy with the spiky orange center and petals that droop back like they're tired of standing up straight. 2 to 4 feet tall, blooming from June into September, and then the seed heads feed goldfinches all winter, which is its own kind of magic when there's snow on the ground and a yellow bird shows up. Magnus is the classic purple. Cheyenne Spear gives you a mix of warm sunset colors from one seed packet, and Powwow Wildberry stays compact and blooms its head off. One real talk warning, skip the trendy double flower varieties. They look like pom-poms and the pollinators ignore them. Zone 3 to 9, native to most of the eastern half of North America, which is why deer mostly leave it alone. Number 6 is Black-Eyed Susan. Rudbeckia, the plant that turns every roadside ditch in August into something prettier than most flower beds. Bold and yellow petals around a dark chocolate brown cone, 2 to 3 feet tall, blooming from midsummer all the way to hard frost. Gold Sturm is the legendary one, voted Perennial of the Year and still earning it. The American Gold Rush is mildew resistant and tidier. Tip, plant it in a drift of at least 5. 1 Rudbeckia looks lonely, 5 looks intentional, 7 looks like you hired a designer. Zone 3 to 9, and it self-sows just enough to fill in gaps without becoming a problem. Pause with me for a second. We're halfway through, and I want you to notice something. Every plant we've talked about so far survives drought, survives clay, survives neglect, and blooms for months, not weeks. That's not an accident. That's the entire point. You're not building a garden. You're building a system that runs itself. And the next 6 plants are where it gets really good, because we're about to get into the one that handles dry shade, which everyone says is impossible. The one that blooms when literally nothing else does. And the one I told you about earlier, number 11, the plant I almost cut from this list and now refuse to garden without. Stay with me. Number 7 is hardy geranium. Cranesbill, not the red potted thing on your porch. That's a pelargonium and it's a completely different plant. True geraniums are mounded perennials with deeply cut leaves and small 5-petal flowers in blue, pink, magenta, or white, 12 to 18 inches tall, often wider, and they smother weeds without you having to ask. Roseanne is the queen, blooming from May until frost in a saturated violet blue you have to see to believe. Biokovo is the white-pink ground cover version that fills in shady edges. Here's the tip almost nobody mentions. If it gets ragged in midsummer, cut the whole plant down to 4 inches. Looks brutal for 10 days. Then it comes back full and blooms again. Zone 4 to 8 and tolerant of partial shade, which we needed on this list. Number 8 is the dry shade miracle I promised you. Epimedium. Bishop's hat, sometimes called barrenwort. Heart-shaped leaves on wiry stems, often with red or bronze tints in spring and fall, topped with delicate spurred flowers that look like tiny ballerinas in April. 12 to 16 inches tall, slowly spreading into a weed-blocking carpet. Sulphurium gives you pale yellow blooms. Rubrum is rose red. Fronleiten has glossy foliage that almost shines. One tip, the only maintenance is shearing the old leaves down to the ground in late February before the new flowers emerge, once a year. 5 minutes. That's it. Zone 4 to 8 and the only perennial I trust under a mature maple tree where most things refuse to live. Number 9 is Yarrow, Achillea. Flat-topped clusters of tiny flowers on ferny gray-green foliage, 2 to 3 feet tall, blooming from June to September. The pollinators throw a party on Yarrow. The deer ignore it. The drought doesn't faze it. Moonshine is a soft sulfur yellow that mixes with everything. Paprika is brick red, fading to coppery rose. Summer Pastels gives you a watercolor mix from one plant. Warning, do not plant it in rich, watered soil. It flops, gets floppy, gets floppier, and then resents you. Lean, dry, sunny. That's the whole recipe. Zone 3 to 9, and it'll happily live in that hot strip next to your driveway where nothing else survives. Real talk for a moment. You'll notice I keep telling you to ignore these plants. Do not water them. Do not feed them. That's not laziness. That's the whole secret. The plants on this list evolved in tough places, and when you treat them like the divas at the garden center, you actually weaken them. Benign neglect is a horticultural strategy. You don't have a brown thumb. You probably have a too helpful thumb. Let them be. Number 10 is Siberian iris, not the bearded iris your aunt grew, which needs dividing and falls over and sulks. Siberian iris has slim, grassy, upright foliage that looks good even when nothing's blooming, topped in late spring with delicate butterfly-like flowers in deep purple, sky blue, white, or butter yellow. 3 feet tall, clumping, never invasive. Caesar's brother is the classic deep violet. Butter and sugar is the cream and yellow one that glows at dusk. Tip: plant it and then forget where you planted it. Seriously, they don't need dividing for 10 or 15 years. Zone 3 to 9, and tolerant of damp soil where bearded iris would rot. Number 11, the one I told you to wait for. The one I almost cut from the list because I thought it was too unusual. Amsonia, blue star. And once you see it, you'll wonder why it isn't in every yard in North America. In spring, soft sky blue star-shaped flowers cover a 2 to 3 foot mound of narrow willow-like foliage. In summer, that foliage stays a fresh, clean green when everything else is fading. And then in October, the entire plant turns a glowing, electric school bus yellow that lights up your yard like someone plugged it in. 3 seasons of beauty from one plant that asks for nothing. Blue Lice is a compact 18-inch version. Storm Cloud emerges with near black stems in spring and is genuinely show-stopping. The native Amsonia hybricti is the one with the most spectacular fall color and was once voted Perennial of the Year. Here's the tip that changes everything. Plant Amsonia and don't touch it, don't divide it, don't move it. They take 2 years to settle in, and by year 3, they're enormous and unbothered. Zone 4 to 9, native to the central and southeastern US, and shockingly underused given how perfect it is. If you only plant one thing from this list, plant this one. Number 12 is the closest, and it's lamb's ear, stackies. The plant your kids will actually want to touch because the leaves feel exactly like the softest velvet you've ever felt. Silvery, white, fuzzy, paddle-shaped foliage in a low spreading mat, about 8 to 12 inches tall, with optional pinkish-purple flower spikes in early summer. It glows at dusk. It glows in the moonlight. It edges a path like nothing else. Helene von Stein, sometimes sold as big ears, has larger leaves and rarely flowers, which a lot of gardeners actually prefer. Silver carpet is the non-flowering ground cover form. One warning, do not let leaves sit wet on top of it in winter. Rake them off in November. Otherwise, it'll rot in the middle. Zone 4 to 8, and absolutely happy in the brutal, dry, sunny spots where nothing else wants to live. So let's pull this together. For that shady spot under the tree where you planted 4 things and killed 4 things and killed 4 things, you want Epimedium and hardy Geranium. For the hot, dry strip by the driveway that feels like a frying pan, you want Russian sage, yarrow, and lamb's ear. For the front of bed edges where you want soft, mounded color all summer, Catmint and Sedum will not let you down. For the cottage garden look without the cottage garden labor, layer Coneflower, black-eyed Susan, and Siberian iris and let them do their thing. For pollinators and goldfinches and that satisfying buzz of life in your yard, every single plant on this list pulls its weight. And for the slow, late-season showstopper that makes your fall garden quietly spectacular, Amsonia is the answer. You don't have to plant all 12. Pick 3. Pick 5. Pick the 2 that sound like they were written about your exact yard. The point isn't a perfect garden. The point is a garden that gives back more than it takes from you. A garden you sit in, not a garden you serve. Imagine next August. Cup of coffee in your hand. The Catmint is humming with bees. The Rudbeckia is glowing gold against the fence. The Amsonia is a soft green cloud you don't even remember planting because it just is, and you didn't water any of it that morning. You didn't have to. That's the garden you're building. If even one plant on this list saved you from giving up on your yard, do me a favor. Hit the like button so this video reaches the next tired gardener who needs it. Subscribe and ring the bell so the next quiet garden list, the next no-fuss perennial guide, the next deep dive on the plants that actually deserve your soil lands right in your feed. And then I want to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me which one you're planting first, and tell me the one plant that has earned its place in your yard year after year, no matter what you throw at it. I read every comment, I learn from every one of you, and your answer might just become the star of the next video. Until then, plant the right things, and let the garden do the rest.